The hardest thing since I've competed is staying relevant. And then Faze got in contact. So I'm thinking, it's Faze Clan. I want to go. People just see like my FIFA 17 World Cup win, and then I had an absolutely ridiculous decline afterwards.
This week on the 490 podcast, we speak to Spencer Ealing, better known as Gorilla. After being the first player to win a lump sum of $200,000 for winning the FIFA Interactive World Cup in 2017.
His experiences playing for Faze Clan, how much he can really earn competing in video games, and where his future lies in the FC space. This is an episode of the Full 90 you simply cannot miss.
This podcast is part of the Acast Creator Network. Welcome back to the Full 90 podcast, and today we've got a good friend of ours on the podcast, but more importantly, something a bit more competitive esports based that we're used to.
A world champion is in the house. The best player in the world during his peak. He swept up every competition that was offered to him back in the day. He lifted a trophy and $200,000 back in 2017 and has been a staple of the FC FIFA Esports landscape for the last 9 years. The one and only Spencer Ealing, Gorilla. Welcome to the Full 90.
Cheers, thank you for having me. It's been a long time, 9 years.
It has.
And in that time, you've done, I think, over $350,000 in prize money, million plus followers across multiple social media platforms as well. It's been a crazy journey. I look forward to jumping into it in the next 90 minutes. As always, pre-match drink. Yes. I'm a fan of this one. Are you a coffee man at heart, or is this just a little treat?
It's just been a recent thing. I'd say the past few years, I feel like, I don't know, I was low on energy, so let's try coffee.
Old age that for you.
Yeah.
So he's gone for an iced Americano. Iced latte.
Iced latte.
I mean, it's pretty cold out there still, but is this just an all-year drink, or is it just a summer drink for you?
Every day.
Yeah?
Start my day.
So you don't have hot coffee?
No. I'll have a tea every now and then, but this is my go-to.
Give it a year, you'll be on the good stuff, mate.
What have you gone for?
Which is the B. Smith Esports Classic. It's the Black Americano. If you really fancy trying it this summer, have a Black Americano iced.
That sounds very strong.
It's good though.
I'm gonna let you in a little bit behind the curtain. If you're wondering, I'm sure these were wearing the same clothes in the last podcast that went up. Brandon's had a coffee and a ginger shot today. I feel for your stomach.
And I've not had any lunch either yet.
No, it's just all swirling about in there. For me, I'm back to basics. Water earlier, orange Lucasade now. I'm going to be buzzing for this podcast.
I don't know what they've done here on the labels now. They've sort of just half the size of the...
Yeah, the first half doesn't... It's business in the front, party in the bottom. That's what it is.
But yeah, Gorilla, thank you very much for taking the time to come down from the Midlands.
Birmingham. Yeah, 2 hours and 40 drive. So
always been based in Birmingham?
Yeah, I've moved about 7 or 8 times in the past 10 years, but settled down now, but just on the outskirts of Birmingham.
I want to start in the current day. For people who maybe only watch esports and only watch FC esports, they might not have seen you too much this year, last year as well. Where are you at currently? Semi-retired, still competing? Have you still got the urge? You still got the drive to compete? Obviously, content's stepped up for you, and you've been doing very well, streaming, creating YouTube content, and your social media platforms. But where are you at currently?
It's tricky, I would say, because I feel like ever since I've started competing, and then I think about a year or two into my competitive journey, I started YouTube and then streaming, and you didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, you know what, I'm playing these tournaments, let me just press the live button or start recording it. But I'm in the middle right now because of where the esports scene is, and I feel like the lack of opportunity to perform at a LAN event. I think I'd always have that competitive edge. Sometimes good, sometimes it's a negative. I'm straying towards content a bit more. I'd say on a 60-40 split, but it's just down to what opportunities I get at tournaments. I still think I'm good enough, especially if I put the time in, but I need to see them opportunities there rather than just one tournament. If you do well, great. If you don't, then your season's done before it's even started.
Obviously, you've played in a couple of our Wicked Wednesdays this year. E-Prem, who did you go for?
Everton.
How far did you get in that?
I got to the last possible situation you get to, so that was the grand final. I was in the loser bracket, so I had to beat the finalists twice. I won the first best of two, and then unfortunately lost the second, so I didn't qualify.
Did you go in expecting to qualify?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The plan was for me and Harry Hesketh to qualify, but
That would have been.
At least one of you
It
didn't
go to
qualify, and the
plan.
other one didn't.
Yeah,
Like,
we both. If he qualified and I didn't, or vice versa, I feel like it wouldn't have.
Could you imagine them two, EPL, Everton, Grilla and Harry Esquire?
I think it'd have been fun.
it would have been.
We did see at the Premier League. You were coaching
Yes.
with Aston Villa. I'm guessing you're back there again later this month in March to go and coach again.
Yeah, I'll be coaching Jamie and Cameron there. And honestly, like individually, they're both really good. It's just sometimes on the day things click or not, but I'm confident.
The reason you're in the position you are is because of your previous achievements and the growth that you got for being one of the best players in the world back in the day. I say back in the day, nearly 10 years ago, 2015, 2016. Take us back to that sort of period, because there was not a lot of opportunities and the esport was really only FIFA. Like back when 2013, 2014, it was one tournament a year. It was the FIFAe World Cup or the FIFA Interactive World Cup as it was. And Ultimate Team was it had boomed, content was high, but there was starting to be a little bit more of a, you know what, we can't actually to compete on Ultimate Team.
Yeah.
What were your where were you at that time when those conversations started going ahead and you were at the front of the queue, really?
So when I first started competing, I feel like it was Ultimate Team, maybe FIFA 14. It was towards the back end of FIFA 14 with a few months, and then FIFA 15's released. Ultimate Team was very, very, very pay to win back then. If you had like the best players, you're on such a disadvantage. Started playing some online tournaments and wasn't winning. Didn't really get to the semi-finals of the last four, but I just enjoyed it. I like that. I liked FIFA and I liked competing in tournaments online, so I just kept on doing that. Fast forward into FIFA 15, and then there was a website called Gfinity where they hosted these kind of online qualifications for these LAN events to go and compete. Just tried my luck. You know, what's the worst that can happen? So started playing online tournaments at the very start, and I was winning everything. I had no expectations. I think I was late 17, about to turn 18. I was just playing FIFA in my head for fun, and I'm making £100 here and there, you know, for every tournament I won online, which was massive. And then I just started qualifying to these events, and it was like, looking back now, it was such a massive moment in just my life in general. Like, as you said, fast forward now, I'm 27, and it's just, time goes by so quick. And I think Ultimate Team back then, I never thought it could be what it is now.
During you were really good in 2016, I think it was, where you won a whole load of tournaments with Gfinity. Do you think that you were just better than everyone else, or the rest of the competition didn't really know Ultimate Team too well? They'd been playing sort of international, like Brazil v Brazil or Real Madrid, and you were just ahead of the curve. Did you have a better team than everyone else as well? Because if I remember correctly, not everyone was on the same level. You used your own team.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? Were you just better, or
You forgot to mention FIFA 15 as well.
Yeah, FIFA 15.
So FIFA 15 and 16 were just my best FIFAs by far. It was my most enjoyable one. But what happened was, towards the end of FIFA 15 of my success at tournaments, what happened was there was like a grand final at the end of the year. And because I won, obviously I won the trophy and I won the prize money. But back then, I could select 3 of my own legends to go into FIFA 16. And I had like 100,000 FIFA points as a prize. So before I've even...
Play like a legend, right?
Play like a legend is what it was called. It was the grand final. It was this crazy... And I actually won... I can't believe I've lost it. I won like a Pele. You know the FIFA cards that you can get like printed out? I won one of those signed by Pele.
You've lost a hand-signed Pele.
Yeah, I've lost it and I don't know where it's gone. It's so frustrating. But I started off FIFA 16 with 3 legends, which I think was Ruud Gullit, George Best, who was unbelievable back then, and I think George Weah, because they wouldn't give me Pele and stuff like that. I think it was too excessive.
Yeah.
So I think I just kick-started off with 100,000 points, those 3 legends, which definitely helps. And as I said earlier, it's having a good team back then did help a lot. But I just knew everything in the game, like the little mechanics. And those FIFAs were always, you score 5, I'll score 6. And obviously things are different now, and I was just so confident attacking.
I feel like then you were the closest thing to that FIFA 19 from Tex that we saw. Like, you back then, you did clean up. Like, I know there wasn't virtual leagues back then, or an E-Champions League, or, you know, there was multiple Foot Champions Cups at that moment, but you were cleaning up. And what was it, like 10k a tournament, was it, or between 8 to 10k?
Yeah, I think it varied. I think $10,000 was for the grand finals, and then, you know, the ones before, I think there was maybe like 4 or 5 of these Gfinities spread out over 6 months or something like that, and I think $5,000, $7,500. And obviously back then, the whole esports the esports teams, signing for a team and making maybe £200 a month, and to me back then I was like, this is the dream.
Because just for context, for those that are listening and watching, like, you can help me out on this as well, Grilla. We had, obviously, Kurt was competing back then. We had Vitality Brian.
Aggie.
Julian
Aggie was
Dassonville?
playing there.
Say again, sorry?
Julian Dassonville, was it?
Yes,
French
French, yeah.
Who else
Tass.
were missing? Fur Perry, maybe?
Fur Perry, he was one of my rivals back then. Who won the World Cup? What's his name? The Saudi.
You had Mr. Dunn,
That's the one.
and then
Mr.
you had
Dunn.
Mo Basha the year after as well.
Dragon, there was like so many names.
Did you try and qualify for the Interactive World Cup in 2016 that year, or were you just a more ultimate team? Like, I'm not really interested in that.
So the World Cup prior to when I won in 2017, so FIFA 16 backwards, it was, if I remember correctly, it was a head-to-head game mode. You go Accrington Stanley, for example, but everyone on that team would be 90 rated. Real Madrid, everyone would be 90 rated. So you choose a team based on the height and maybe 5-star skill moves, Cristiano Ronaldo, but that was an ultimate team. FIFA 16 backwards, it was head-to-head, everyone's 90 rated, and you got to go 90-0 in 1 month. However, also back then, there was people not playing to the rules, so to speak. So to honestly get 90-0 in 1 month is just crazy. But then fast forward, I did qualify.
And the crazy thing is, we often speak about timing for ourselves as well, me and Richard, because we came in the year that you won.
Yeah.
And the biggest jump was 20k to $200,000 in prize money. Like, it was the biggest jump that FIFA Esports, now FC Pro Esports, has ever seen. Fun fact as well for those that care. When you started playing in those tournaments, I used to admin those tournaments. Those £100, £150 cups, I went by the name of The Noob. The Noob. And that's how I got into this space originally. One of my mates, really good friends, nearly qualified for the FIWC.
Go ahead.
He basically... We're playing these cups together, and I was just getting first round every time. Might get a bye now and then. I was like, I'm so bad, but I want to be involved still. So I was like, right, I'm going to start adminning and giving up my time on a Tuesday and a Thursday and just running these cups.
So my sort of history with the esport, I didn't particularly watch too much until Spencer Owen was really integral to the Play Like a Legend.
Massive.
And I remember I used to watch his series, Zarate Kid and Wheel of Fortune and whatnot. And I remember watching you win this tournament because he was involved in the tournaments. Yeah, I think you were doing commentary and might have also done a bit of the production behind the scenes.
He did
his
own series in there as well, didn't he?
Where Harry Hesketh came through.
Game Academy. Game Academy. I was on there for 1 episode, and I think, who was it that? Because I had to play all of them. There's about 5 or 6. I think Kez Brown beat me.
Was you not allowed to go into that? Or you just didn't want to?
No, I couldn't. Because obviously, when was that? FIFA 16 or 15? I can't remember. I couldn't do it because
16 or 15. Yeah.
I think Spencer wanted like people that wasn't
up and coming.
Yeah, he wanted up and coming people.
The Bullet was in there.
Yeah.
What a man.
What a man.
2017, the game changed forever, because EA put money into the esport. Previously, they just produced the game, and FIFA, the organising body, would always do the tournaments for it. Until you saw a little bit of 16 with Play Like a Legend, and then FIFA 17, it was, okay, we're going to run our own ecosystem, we're going to run our own tournaments. You did well that season. You ended the season really well. I seem to remember in Madrid, did you, against
Príncipe, lost in the grand final.
Yeah, and then you had a bit of confidence going into the latter half of that season. Talk to us about 2017 Westminster, and did you feel like you were the favourite going into it? Did you feel as though this was your time, your moment? And talk us through that entire process of you lifting the trophy.
Well, FIFA 17 at the start, you mentioned Madrid, and I remember that was one of the first tournaments of the year. I actually remember it well because in the group stage, we was playing on like these 32-inch TVs, and I remember turning up and I was like, what's going on here? Because normally, for anyone watching, you'd play on a 24-inch monitor. That's just the standard. But anyway, so yeah, I lost in the grand final against Príncipe in Madrid. And throughout the year, I was quite consistent in top 4 finishes. And then, was FIFA 17 Berlin?
Berlin, yeah.
Berlin. So FIFA 17 Berlin, that was the playoffs, got top 4. So going into the World Cup.
Did you lose to Shells or Rocky?
Rocky, yeah, because then Shell's played Rocky
Penalties,
and then-
final.
wasn't it?
I remember that comeback. I was like,
160k as well back then. So there was 2
160,000.
tournaments that year that had crazy payouts.
we're in a space of a few months. So if you've done really well at playoffs and then done really well at the World Cup, you could be making serious money. But yeah, top 4 playoffs and into the World Cup. You'd think I'd be confident, but I wasn't confident, but I also wasn't not, if that makes sense. I just said to Dragon, who was my coach at the time, I said, do you know what? I'm just going to go into the World Cup. It's my first time being there, for reference. Just going to have fun with it. And by that, I just mean, it's not really put pressure on myself, just try and do skill moves and just kind of go with the flow. I didn't actually do that well in the group stage. You know, you think if you win the World Cup, you're going to smash the group stage, go through to the knockouts and win. But group stage, got through, that was my job. And then obviously fast forward to winning it. But I wasn't confident. And FIFA 17, I've always said this, I wasn't the best player. Throughout the whole year, the 2 people above me would be Tass and Rocky. I think they were the 2 best on that game. Just so happens I won the World Cup, so I'm not complaining.
I want to talk about esports organisations during that time as well, because you started with XL. I think that was the first ever team that sort of you were with, and then Epsilon you were with for a decent while. It was Unilad, if I remember correctly, who you were with at the World Championship. How did that come about? Because Unilad, I mean, they were a Facebook group. They were a social media organisation that were taking videos and they were making hundreds of millions of views online. But how did that connection ever come about? And was it a good deal looking back on it?
Yeah, it was a good deal, and I don't regret it. I think I had a really good time there. Obviously, they had their own, as a company, they had their own problems to figure out. My contract was coming to an end, but my manager, who is still my manager now, Curtis Stocks, he was with me at Epsilon.
APOC.
APOC.
Yeah.
He's still your manager now?
Still my manager now. For
We wonder where he went.
What
yeah,
a guy.
No, he's in Indonesia now, actually. Yeah, great guy. But no, he's still my manager now. And so at Epsilon, he was kind of one of the head people there. And somehow, I don't even know how Unilad came into play. Obviously, you have like your business email and your Twitter and stuff like that. And I think just got an email sent across, not really thinking anything of it. And we just set up a meeting, and the numbers talked about in that contract compared to what was on Epsilon was just like, because in the same conversation, I was this close to joining PSG to the point where, like, I think this was back in the FIFA 16, just about to go into 17. I was in Paris doing the photo shoots. Like, literally, I've got photos on my phone of me in a PSG top. I think with Aggie, because Aggie signed. But yeah, that fell through. I stayed at Epsilon for a few months and then moved to Unilad.
Within the nice way you can tell us, you know, you told us basically £100 to £200 a month.
Yeah.
When you're starting out, you've just become world champion. Where's the ceiling? Is it 10k a month? Is it 15k a month? Is it 8k a month?
So before the World Cup, I think the average for like a top player, because back then, like, it was massive. Like, compared to now, I feel like content-wise as well came into it, because I was doing YouTube as well. And if you remember, the packs and stuff like that back then was ridiculous views. So I think back then, on an average, you're probably looking at a few £1,000s a month for like the top players. But then after the World Cup, I think because of, not even just for myself personally, but because of how big that was, it was the first year, it was $200,000, and you had like this massive scene. EA are here now, they're backing it. I think there's this like massive influx of like interest from outsiders and everyone coming in. And then that just kind of went for salaries. I'm not going to go into specific numbers, but
you could drive your price really at this point, couldn't you?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like back then I knew I was in control in terms of what I wanted, because I had several people that were interested. Now, if it was just one team, then, you know, it's a bit of a... But when you have certain teams and organisations that want to sign you for 2-3 year deals, it's just business, isn't it? You got, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be doing this for the rest of my life in terms of competing, so I've got to try and find the best deal for me.
You won 200k. How much did you? Because there'll be people out there who are like, oh my god, he took home $200,000.
Yeah.
How much did you actually see of that in terms of like, do you get taxed on that once it's been converted to dollars to pounds? I imagine Unilad probably take a little percentage. Like, can you say how much you actually took from that 200k?
Yeah, I remember specifically when the money first hit my account, I was like, what? Like, it's ridiculous.
I'm going to guess.
Just seeing it.
I'm going to guess. So generic conversion back then, I'd say, so some $200k to pounds, I reckon you're looking at about 160-ish before any tax.
anyone takes anything away, okay.
So I reckon 100 and 20k
I think you.
Wait, so 120k
pounds.
before?
No, after.
Oh, after. Okay.
I think you had in your account. You got sent through 87k.
No, so in between 100, literally more or less like a few pounds here and there, but bang on 100.
Wow.
Because Unilad took a percentage, and obviously the whole tax and all this and the conversion. Once everything went away, I remember.
So you thought that'd be higher? You thought you'd get more?
Because
It's like-
when you see 200,
That's 60k. That's 60k basically gone in
just
all
like
of those
that,
little.
yeah. But you need to remember, I was like 20. I think I'm 20. I'm still very young. Like I never went out partying. I was just in my room playing FIFA. So to then see a $200,000 for winning is a lot. So I'm thinking when it hits my bank, it's gonna be like, because I don't know about like certain conversions and all of this stuff. I'm still naive at the time. I'm thinking I'm gonna get like £170,000. I'm not complaining with 100,000. I'm just saying. So obviously percentages and tax like that, I got 100,000 smack on.
We then slowly moved forward, 17 to 18. There was a period where I think you left Unilad.
Yep.
And Faze Clan. How did you end up managing to play for arguably one of the biggest esports organisations on the planet in
Yep.
Faze? And I mean, that must have been a pretty surreal moment for yourself as well. Like, and play for Faze.
Yeah, so I think it was after my World Cup win. Me and Unilad was in negotiations of renewing it, and I wanted to stay. I didn't have any.
Were you happy with your time at Unilad?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was me and Shals.
Yeah.
Shals is my teammate there, and I enjoyed it. It was like a close knit kind of group. I had me, the manager, and stuff like that. I got on with the people because we used to go down to the offices in Shoreditch, I think it was. And I used to go. I like that. I don't want to just be okay. I signed for this team. I'll play FIFA. You pay me. I kind of like getting on with the people there and seeing them in person. But yeah, so I won the World Cup, and then obviously naturally we're renegotiating terms. Carrying on, and then I still had time on my contract. I think in like 5-6 months, something like that. And then FaZe got in contact. So I'm thinking, it's FaZe Clan. So I want to go. But obviously I have 5-6 months left of my contract, so it's not as easy as saying, okay, I'm joining FaZe, see you later. Anyway, fast forward. The plan was for me and Tass to sign for FaZe on a very long-term deal. I'm talking 4 years, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, this was...
So they were going to be in for the
yeah.
long haul. They were in.
Yeah, this was, again, when esports FIFA was booming. There was so many tournaments. And I think the plan was they wanted to partner with like a football club as well. I don't know who, but that's what the plan was. So the plan was for me and Tass to sign for FaZe, right? Anyway, me and Unilad back and forth. I'm saying I want to leave, and what the buyout price was, it was too high and stuff like that. So what happened was Tass signed, and then waiting a few months until my contract finishes, which was like 4 or 5 months. However, so I'm thinking, okay, well, Tass is signed. They're serious. It's a dead cert. The period of time I'm still with Unilad, I don't have a problem with Unilad at all. But it's just FaZe, right? I want to go to FaZe. The person I was dealing with, like the higher up in FaZe, who was interested in starting the FIFA department of FaZe, left, and then the pathway that FaZe Clan wanted to do changed. Obviously, they've got Tass on a long deal and stuff like that. They didn't want to obviously pay the money for me, the contract wise, and also commit to 4 years. So, long story short, I represented FaZe at Amsterdam FIFA 18 playoffs. I was never officially signed to on pen to paper. But because it was more or less done, it's just going through like lawyers and stuff like that. I represented them, wore the shirt. I don't know if you remember the tweet about me joining them and stuff like that. So everything was there, just never pen to paper, and it fell through.
So did you ever get paid by FaZe?
I only got paid for like a month because like they didn't have to, but because of the month that I represented them and stuff like that, I got paid a month's salary. But no, honestly, that's one thing I'll regret.
You can go first.
I've got a question about an event that took place.
Okay.
But I'll let you go first.
I want to understand the wild west of these contracts and these esports teams, because I'm sure you've heard and seen of many people sort of being done over with, I don't know, terms in the contract
Oh,
that,
100%.
a lot of people are naive to sign. But like, I mean, in a nice way, that's an example there, unfortunately, of where it didn't go to plan. Have you had many teams like that have just, without naming them, that have sort of messed you around and sort of had a deal on the table, then pulled it from your feet? Or
Not necessarily that. The only thing that comes to mind, I don't know if you remember a Call of Duty team called Red Reserve. So I signed. I was a free agent at the time, and then I signed for them. And not their fault necessarily, but they went into administration. I'm not even joking. I signed the contract. a week later, I see on Twitter like Red Reserve. They went into administration. So like that long-term deal just fell through and back as a free agent. But other than that, nothing specifically comes to mind because, you know, I was at Unilad and then Faze briefly, and then obviously fast forward now I'm at Excel in my third year.
During that time when you're moving from sort of esports org to esports org, were there any point where you felt pressure from them, whether it's with Unilad, like they might be paying you a certain amount of money, it's like, I've got to deliver results here. In the time when you are playing really well, it's much easier.
Yeah.
When you're having a bad season or when you're having a couple of bad events, do you ever feel it get on top of you? Like, they're paying me and you know what? I'm not delivering.
I'd say so only recently in the past, I'd say since I've joined Excel, because I joined Excel, I'm 27 now, so I joined Excel like late 24, turning 25. So I'm not stupid. Listen, I'm not in my prime, like FIFA 15, 16, 17, and there's probably better players, you know, like the big names. So I think now with Excel, especially in the first year or two, when it was me and Tom playing duos, because it was 2v2 as well, I think it was like there was so much, and I just felt because, you know, that again, I'm going into my third year now, and they've outlaid a decent amount of money, obviously with Tom as well, and they're serious about FIFA. I felt like I needed to perform, and there's always reasons why I didn't in a tournament, and I just kept on trying to explain to myself, like, why am I not performing? The thing is, I know I'm always good at the game. Like, fundamentally, I know how to play the game, but then applying it on a consistent basis, I just fall short sometimes. But to answer your question, I think only at Excel, not because of them, I just think because of the stage I am at my career. Whereas back then I was young, I was just playing the game, you know?
When you won the World Championship and you were at your peak, do you think you enjoyed it enough, or do you think you were so like focused on just what's next?
Enjoyed it in what sense?
Like, could sit back and go, look, I'm at my best right now. Like, I've got very good financials coming in. Like, but I guess you couldn't really take a holiday, or it might not have been in your sort of DNA to sort of enjoy yourself like that. From the outside in, it was just very much like you were just back on the grind.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't even remember celebrating the World Cup. You'd think you win the World Cup. I mean, I'm 20 at the time. You think I win the World Cup, I'm just going to go out partying
or be the typical pro player and just go and buy loads of designer stuff. Rock up at
yeah,
events.
stuff like that. I mean, to be fair, that was never... I'm not really like that now, but I was never really like that. I just... Honestly, if I remember correctly, we went back to the Unilad HQ and just chilled for a few hours. There's about 5 or 6 of us. And then I think I just went to the hotel on my own and just chilled. Like, if you know me, like players, and I go to events, I'm so not antisocial. I just want to keep myself to myself. I'm in the hotel. I like my own space. I always see it as if I'm going to an event, I'm there to do it. Not a job in that sense, but like I'm there to play a tournament. I do like meeting up with people. Honestly, I do, and hanging out. But until that's over, I just feel like I just keep myself to myself. And after the World Cup, I just spend a few hours with the people, and then I don't think you ever really say it, because straight after the day after, I'm having calls with newspapers and stuff like that, and interviews and stuff like that. So I think it lingered a lot after the win, and then before you know it, FIFA 18's coming out. Gotta get back to it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look, sort of, you're so good for such a long time, and you still are in the top 0.01% of people who play the game. At what point? It's a harsh question. At what point did you feel as though I'm declining a little bit here?
At what point did I think I wasn't any good?
Like, what point did you have a realization where you're like, I need to? Because you hear it in other sports, like when Gary Neville come up when he was towards the back end of his career, he'd come up against a pacey winger and he can't get back, and he's like, I might be past it here. I'm not saying that you are past it. All you need is one game to suit your playstyle, and I suppose that's the beauty of FC. Like, if it's a quick game that suits you,
you never know.
You're flying.
Yeah.
But was there a moment or an event or something where you just thought, I'm towards the back end. I'm on the last 9.
So there's 2 parts to this. FIFA 19 was an accumulation of a lot of things, right? So FIFA 19 was just a really bad year for me. However, FIFA 19 was probably one of the best for the esports team, because there was so many tournaments. Like, before was in Romania, you had like an LQE, which is like a lesser tournament, but it was still important. And then the same venue a week later, you'd have the FUT Champs Cup.
Oh mate, we know. We were in Romania for
Like-
about 4 months, weren't we?
I remember them tournaments. I'm thinking, I can't wait to get home. Looking back now, I'd take that any
course
day
you
of the
would.
week. But you was in Romania for like 2 weeks in this hotel and just playing FIFA.
Did you have the Ramada burger?
Can't forget.
Was I even
Basically,
cooked?
in
I don't
short,
know.
there was a hotel that we were all staying at in Romania.
Let me guess
for-
what it's called. The Ramada.
Yeah, it's called the Ramada Hotel. And basically, I think everyone in there, 80% of the people that were there, pro players, us,
Oh.
just had burgers every night. This
Yeah.
Ramada burger, and it just became a meme, didn't it?
Yeah, good times. So back to the question.
But yeah, FIFA 19 was a terrible year for me, like competing wise. I remember playing Tex, I think in the LQE late on, maybe quarterfinals. And like when you're in a game against someone of like a top level and they know what they're doing, and you're still really good, but they just know that extra bit, you can tell straight away. And I think throughout that year, because Tex was so dominant as well, it was kind of a double whammy. But like nothing too deep, but I had personal things where I couldn't commit time to the game. And I think towards the back end of FIFA 19, I realised like I'm not putting time into the game. I thought I could get away with it just because I was playing so well previously. But at the end of 19, it was just an absolute write-off a year. And then going to FIFA 20, I told myself, put more time into it. That's what I did. I thought FIFA 20 was good. I was going to qualify for the World Cup. And then COVID happened. And then FIFA 21, that was you done a through ball from 80 yards and you threw, and I just couldn't adapt to it. FIFA 22 was good. And then I think, to answer your question, the second part, so FIFA 19, I kind of had a realisation of what I need to do if I want to stay at the top. And then I think the realisation where I feel like there's new people coming in and I'm not really at the top anymore. I can still play the game. And as you said, I genuinely do believe it's in the next few years, if I just get one game that's just a bit more natural to me, I can get back to the top 4 or 5. But
Well, look at like Dito, for example.
Yeah.
When he made that World Championship final, he was what, 30? I think 31.
yeah, I think so.
And the game just suited him.
Yeah.
Like he could keep the ball really
To
easily,
a T.
and he were able to implement his game style. So I think there's always that. You've got to sort of stay close,
Yeah.
because you never know what might happen. There might be a patch that comes out and it changes the game completely. You talked about Tex and sort of those current crop of players. If you had Prime Gorilla, you right now,
Yeah.
in sort of the FIFA 16, put into the FC Pro Open,
Yeah.
are you winning it?
If I don't have the commitments I have now with content and if
You're just grinding.
if I'm just playing FIFA as FIFA 15, 16, 17 Gorilla, I would win as much as I did then now. But everyone lives in the now, and I get that. We'll have a different conversation in 5-10 years time. I get it, like PhD and Tex and Nicholas, like all these are ridiculous players. But I feel like because of when I done what I done was 5-6 years ago, it's like everyone just thinks every 5 years the competition gets better and better and better. It's in there now. But I think so. Yeah, I would.
It's a debate I'm sure you've probably enough of and that, but the famous GOAT debate.
Yeah.
When you get missed out of the conversation
Every time.
occasionally, you go, what about me? If you can't put yourself there, who do you think is the GOAT? Are we going the Bruce Granics, the Alfonso Ramoses? Or are we saying?
Well, people forget about Bruce. Like he's won so many world titles, but again, I feel like people don't really respect people like out of their era.
To flip it then, if you had to give me the top 5 competitive FIFA FC players of all time, who are your top 5? You can put yourself in there.
Okay. In order or just 5?
Any
order. Dossery, Tex, myself. Yeah, I think you have to put Bruce. Honest, I feel like people just don't give him the respect. He was like my not idol necessarily, but like I looked up to him in the FIFA scene when I started competing, so I have to put Bruce in there. And then 5th,
Iceman.
I was thinking Nicholas. Yeah,
Does it?
I'll probably say Nicholas.
Does it? So you're 5.
Me
Bruce,
first, though.
Tex, Gorilla, Dossery, Nico. When you see these debates and you see these people talking like, "Oh, Gorilla's like not even we're in a different era, etc."
Yeah.
Does that just give me my respect? Like
Yeah.
just you didn't watch, so you don't know. But if you were in this era, I'm beating you all. Like, do you feel that sometimes, like disrespected by the community?
Not necessarily disrespected. I care and I don't care at the same time, because I think people just see like my FIFA 17 World Cup win, and then I had an absolutely ridiculous decline afterwards because I didn't win again. But like every year, more or less, I was getting top 4. Like FIFA 18, I got top 4 every single event. The World Cup, I got top 4. Like I lost to Kurt. I mean, stuff like in the semi-finals. FIFA 19, yeah, it was a terrible year. FIFA 20 on for the World Cup. COVID happened. 21 wasn't great. 22 was decent.
Last year, you could have won a trophy nearly.
Yeah, like got to the E-Prem final. I mean, it was my fault. I lost. Like that, honestly, out of my whole career, I think that's the worst loss because I'm affecting someone else. With Tottenham in the final, Tom Leese. So, yeah, like if that's a decline, I'll take it. Do you know what I mean? Like I think the hardest thing I've realised in competing in general, like social media or whatever it may be, creating content, is to stay consistent and relevant. Because I could easily win of 17 and just never done anything again and then fall off the face of the earth. But I think I've been consistent. But because I felt like I set myself so high so soon, I feel like that's where everyone sets the bar, which I get. But I thought I'd been pretty decent throughout the whole thing.
Do you think when you sort of look at say you were to hang it up today, you would walk away and be like, you know what, I'm really happy with that as a career spanning? Or do you think just one more win, one more trophy?
Yeah, I think I want one more. Honestly, E-Prem would have been that.
That would
if I won,
you'd hung it up after E-Prem if you'd have won it.
I think so. But now it's just like I'm looking at it so differently because I didn't expect this year to be this year in terms of the format, right? So I was thinking, okay, got to the final of E-Prem. It's gonna be the same next year. Let's try and figure out. But honestly, I wouldn't have hung it up necessarily, but I think I would have accepted it. Like maybe now this is the time because winning the World Cup, winning all those G-Finis and stuff like that, and then adding like a league to it kind of would have been ideal for me. But I mean, I'm 27 now, and people have been performing really well, like in their late 20s, early 30s. So, but I think just having that trophy just to kind of top it off, I would have still competed, but not with the same kind of maybe drive necessarily. I have that drive now. Honestly, it may not seem like it, but like there's nothing for me to do until FC 25. But when that starts, I will be.
I want to talk about the 2022 season, because we saw like the announcements that XL were coming back in.
Yep.
And they didn't only make a splash; they made a pretty big wave. Like signing you, signing Tom Leese.
Yep.
Bringing Yavi as well, who was regarded as one of the best coaches. Still, he's a great coach. And it just... Do you feel like you just under-delivered ever so slightly in terms of the performances? And what was it like teaming with Tom as well, who was, during that lockdown period, COVID, was unbelievable. Like, won an E-Prem. I think he won a European major as well on PlayStation. So, two parts. I'll let you go. Talk about Tom first.
Yeah.
And the duo and maybe what you could have done differently looking back. And then how was sort of that year?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not even just saying this because we're on a podcast and he's probably going to see it, but I think Tom was probably the best teammate I've had. However, on the flip side, I think I could have been a much better teammate. It's like, because we was always together for a lot of times. We was at boot camps. We was in the same house for a few weeks, leading up to qualifiers and tournaments. So we spent a lot of time with each other for about a year and a half, 2 years. And I couldn't have asked for a better teammate. We were so confident in because it was 2v2, right? We were on the same team, and I was so confident in our ability and our gameplay. When we got to the Club World Cup,
you played really well in that tournament.
I thought we was the best team there, but we lost to the winners on penalties. And listen, I always say penalties take zero skill. You go left, you dive left. Guess what? You save it. It's like there's a reason people just go on Google and type in left or right. But yeah, we lost on penalties. That was a hard one to take because I thought we was really good. We put a lot of time in throughout the year, and we done quite well. But we was a good duo. It just we didn't get to that finish line. And then obviously I think the pinnacle was, it would have been E-Prem. Obviously it wasn't with XL, it was with Tottenham because it was E-Prem. But again, I think we just showed that we was good. It's just I let us down. But he was a good teammate. I think I could have been a much better teammate in situations, but obviously hindsight's
just from hindsight. Putting more time in, or from what?
No, not necessarily time. Not time. Just sometimes that's the way I am. I can just get in like these. Like if I'm in a mood, it's so hard for me to just snap out of it. And I think looking back now, I realise maybe I could have been better in the sense like when we're in boot camps, just be a bit more mindful that it's not just because I'm not selfish in that regard, but like when we're doing 1v1 tournaments, and obviously Tom's in the room, for example, practicing his 1v1 with Javi and stuff. I don't know, like sometimes looking back now, I probably realise that maybe the way I was probably maybe affected me a little bit without me realising in the moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sort of like the chemistry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like sometimes it's my sometimes I was feeling down, not in a deep way. I just like maybe I'm not playing good FIFA. I'm just like in a bit of a mood, but
And you wanted to let everyone know about it.
yeah, in a sense. But then obviously looking back now, I'm thinking I shouldn't have done. And me and Tom have spoken about this and stuff. But yeah, that's just me being honest. I think I could have been a better teammate, to be fair.
Just before we sort of end the first half, I want to talk about coaches because you were doing some coaching, as we said at the top of the podcast with Villa at E-Premier League. It's always an interesting topic, coaching in esports and what a coach offers, and are they essential? Are they needed? What's your take on it? Like, do you feel like a coach helps you that much? How much can a coach help you?
A coach this is an analogy. There we go. We'll get the words out. It's like a shoe, right? If you're a size 10, but then you buy a size 12, it's not going to feel right, is it? You're walking and then the gap at the end of your foot.
I'm not sure if this is sticking with me.
Anyway, you'll get it, right? I've had a few coaches in my time. Some click, some don't. So it's like with a shoe, you need to find your right size. Same with a coach. For me, I need it to be as simple as possible. And I mean, like, dumb it down. Talk to me like a 15-year-old, you know? Because that's just the way my brain processes information. However, some players might want a coach that is very in-depth, like very tactical. So my point being is coaches are really important if you find the right one that just clicks with you. Does that make sense?
And would you rather have a coach who is gameplay orientated, or me or Brandon coaching you and just be like, Gorilla, you're the best player here. You can do this. Like, more motivational?
No, you in the nicest way possible. It's not against you. You have to have some IQ of the game at a pro level. No, in the sense it's like if I'm mid game and I'm playing someone really good in an important game, right? You don't even need to give me anything like crazy. You just need to give me some information. Like, for example, like Venny coached me at the first tournament this year, and I thought I played quite well. So at half time, because I was always doubtful of how many chances I'm creating in the box. So I told him at half time, just tell me how many times I'm getting to like good opportunities in the box. Because obviously when I'm playing, I'm not counting, right? So like, for example, at half time, I'm not feeding. I'm not getting into his box that much. He'll tell me, well, you're into his area 14 times. So that was just give me that little bit of confidence second half, saying, okay, well, I am getting there. It's just that one less skill.
Be like you've got an XG of 4.78.
Yeah, but honestly, when you're in the game, you're so in the moment. I forget the 45 minutes that I just played.
If we're coaching, he's got an extra 4.78 if he's not scored. That's on him, not
That's my fault. But it depends.
You've had a lot of coaching in your time. Is Zach more number one? Or
Zach was a really good coach. I think it was probably the wrong time. I feel like if I had Zach as a coach maybe a few years ago, I would have benefited more from him. I just don't think I've really told this to him. I don't think me and him was a fit. As I was saying, I feel like I needed someone he does a lot of work. Like, from coaches I've had, he does the most work in terms of like corner set pieces and how the opponent plays. But for me, I just can't process that information. But he was a really good coach. I remember, to be fair, like, if it wasn't for him, I think it was Paris when I beat Razek and Tex back to back in a knockout. That was down to Zach, like, just defending and little things here and there. But again, just didn't suit. But he's still a really good coach.
no, amazing. Well, before we end this half of the podcast, $350,000 in prize money.
Yeah.
Across the years, I believe you bought a house.
I did. Yes.
Is that one of the biggest sort of, I guess, achievements you could say from all of that income? I mean, this doesn't include salary, but just from prize money, I mean, that's a lot of money, isn't it, to play with?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't actually. Everyone's always asked me, like, what did I do with the tournament winnings or the World Cup winnings? But I don't actually know, because you get the money from the tournaments, but I didn't go and buy a house there and then. So obviously throughout the years, money's coming in, but a lot of that would have gone towards the house, like a big deposit on my house now. And I think, I think that's probably winning the World Cup and all of that. I think my biggest achievement is doing that, the house. It's always something I wanted to do.
Well, I think we're in a great place to call half-time on the Full 90 podcast with Gorilla. We're off for a quick break. When we're back, we're going to be speaking a lot more about YouTube, content creation, the importance of being a content creator and an FC Pro player. You don't want to miss this. We'll be back after this. Well, it's time to kick off the second half of the Full 90 podcast. We've got the pleasure of being joined by former FIFA World Champion Spencer Ealing, a.k.a. a huge Gorilla. I want to kick off this side of the podcast speaking about, I think, content creation to kick things off with, because you know, I've been slated many times online for saying that, you know, being a pro player these days, you can't just be a pro player. Like, unless you're winning everything when there's not loads of tournaments, you have to have multiple sources, I guess, of revenue or income or maybe following. And I think you've done a good job of that. I mean, over the last sort of decade, really, of building a social media following, even if it was just Twitter to start with and then it was a bit of YouTube. Like, now you've got over 1 million followers, if not more, across all your platforms. Like, how big of a role has that played for you, and how important is it to be, you know, distributing content, streaming, whilst trying to balance competitiveness as well?
I think you said, I think balancing competitive has probably been my hardest challenge in the past 9 years, you know, just going from people where you think I just uploading a video, just streaming, but to do all of that while then thinking, oh, I've got to practice, I've got to improve, because if I'm not practicing, improving on the pro scene, someone else is. But then it's like, I'm trying to think long term, even back then when I was uploading pack openings and stuff, because I know I'm not going to be competing till I'm 35, 40, 50, right? But content creation, as you've probably seen with other creators, they're still doing it late 30s, 40s. So that's the long game. I always wanted to be as good as I can in the pro scene, but also at the same time, and also for the long term, use that to benefit my content. I feel like I've done a good job so far, but it's changed a lot recently, like over the past few years, content.
For semi-pro players, aspiring pro players, even current professional players now, who are neglecting content or just don't want to do it, or feels like if they take time away to do content, they don't get the instant views for it, or they're like throwing money away trying to do certain styles of content. What sort of words of encouragement would you give people? Because I know you put a tweet up right after, I think it was the qualifier.
Yeah.
And it got a lot of backlash. People saying,
I don't want to be a content
you don't
creator.
understand where we're coming from. Like, we're trying to be pro players and maybe there's not the space for me. There's not the spaces in tournaments that I have. But I see both sides of it. I see that I want to be a pro player. I don't want to be a content creator, but they sort of go hand in hand. Where would you sort of lie on that? If you were back in sort of 16, 15 years old and you're right now in this current age, if you're a 17-year-old kid, you don't want to do content. You just want to be a pro player.
Yeah, of course.
So sort of like, what's your take on it, the space in general?
It depends. I think people have to be realistic, right? If you're a 17-year-old now, I mean, people ask you in my stream, is it worth becoming a pro FIFA player? And the honest answer is no, because the amount of top players, and I'm talking top players, didn't qualify for the FC Pro Open, which is the main events that's broadcasted. If they can't qualify, that just shows how tough it is to get to the spotlight, right? So I'm not going to say it's not worth it, because you know it might be their dream. They might want to become a pro FC player, but not everyone wants to do content, and I understand that. That's fine. If you want to just start competing, just go and practice. You can enter these online tournaments. There's no like paywall. You know, you can just practice all you want in your own time, try and improve, and then enter tournaments. See where you're at. Qualifications are free. Sign up. See how you do. Right. But then, if you're trying to think long term for like an actual job, you have to do content, because let's just say you have an 8-year career and you're a pretty decent player. You probably don't win anything, but you're one of the known players. Once you're done playing, what are you gonna do? If you don't mind,
backup plan, yeah.
There's no backup plans. Like if you don't want it to be a long-term career job, that's fine. If you want to compete, that's fine. But then if you want it to become something where you can rely on it over 10, 20 years, you have to do content. There's no two ways about that. And I think the best thing to start doing, especially now, is TikTok. All it takes for that one clip, you know, even if you're streaming on Twitch and you get like 2 viewers, start streaming on TikTok as well, because before you know it, over a few months, you can get from 2 viewers to maybe 10 to 15 to 20. You have to offer something, whether that's your gameplay ability. If you're decent at the game, do some tutorials, or you're streaming, break down some goals. There's always, you've got to think, how can I offer something to the viewer? Whereas for me, I'm not the biggest personality by any means, but I'm decent at the game, so I use that to my advantage as much as possible.
How many people have you got on board sort of guerrilla industries at the minute? Like
Guerrilla industries.
Because obviously you're producing a lot of content. When did you bring people in to sort of help you with that process? Was it during the pro, like when you were competing more and there were more tournaments available, or have you always done it on your own? Like, how many people do you have around you sort of cultivating ideas, editing process, and then getting it up?
I think for the most part, I've only had one other person. Like back in the day, it was just an editor, and that changed every now and then, every other year. And I was just putting clips together because I wasn't taking YouTube serious. And obviously, as you probably know, YouTube's changed massively. It's all about the journey of the one video, not okay. I play Weekend League. Here's all the clips, put them together, post it, and then maybe a thumbnail designer. So for the most part, maybe one or two people, like an editor and a thumbnail designer. Now I'm taking it a bit more serious over the past 2 years. So I've got like a manager who oversees the ideas, deals with everyone. Literally all I do, bar like trying to figure out some videos with the manager, all I do is record and research and try and improve. That's kind of my role. So I have now 3 editors. I have a thumbnail designer, and I have like a manager who oversees everything. So I'd say 5. But I'm only in contact with really 1 on a constant basis.
Can you say how much that outgoing is a month? How much are you paying?
I won't say specifically. However, people think I make so much money off YouTube. Profit-wise,
Are you operating at a loss on YouTube or not?
At the moment, over the past 2 years, I'm breaking even on a like best case scenario. But I'm looking long term. You know, like creating different channels and stuff.
I'm very much with you. Like I've spent, I'm going to say, probably up to, let's call it £30,000 a year on a team, right? With the goal to maybe do, I don't know, £40,000 a year or maybe more. And obviously and that includes for me, like some short form editors, someone to help schedule the content. So when I'm away at events commentating, I've got people helping me schedule. You know, you've got your graphic people on there. Then you've maybe got a couple of giveaways on there as well. There's loads of different things going on.
Equipment as well.
Equipment you've got to pay for. And like people think that everything you get, you just take it all. You know,
I wish.
You don't.
I
you
wish.
need to reinvest. And I think what you're doing there is very clever, playing like a long-term game. Because at the end of the day, if esports teams are going to come back in or football clubs are going to come into this space, they're going to be looking for people that have got followers, engagement. Whether you're the best player in the world or not, there's a good chance they'll still be sniffing around for, you know, someone who's got decent followers and can still play the game at a decent level.
Yeah, I think, I'll be honest though, it is hard for me to kind of see right now because every month comes around, I'm paying these invoices.
It's hard, it is.
And I'm not seeing any money like come back into me like, I can spend that. But listen, I've said to myself this year specifically, like I'm trying to put as much as I can into it. And then at the end of the year, I'll review it, like how the views are and content and stuff.
For the CPM of EAFC, 100k view video, what can you guess that would pay you back?
I just had a video. Something about 100 hours on it. I beat FIFA in 100 hours, something like that. I think that just got over 100,000 views, but because it's such a longer video than normal and stuff like that, and the AVD, average view duration, I think I got about £500-600 off that, which is good. It's crazy though, because I think I'm doing some of this on stream, and then obviously I've got to do a bit of post-com, and then it gets edited, so I see the final piece once it's live. It's like, it's crazy to me that something I've just done has got 100,000 views. There's a thing for it. Like, I don't know why people watch me. Still to this day, I don't know why people. That's the one. I just don't get it. Like, I'm not complaining. Obviously, people are watching for a reason. And I had this conversation with Kaj, who's my YouTube manager. I don't know why people watch me because I hate watching myself.
You're world champion, mate.
No, but YouTube's different though. Like,
but I do
a lot of people watch. They don't know that.
From looking on the outside, you present a story with every video. You know, you present yourself really well, which has come over time, no doubt, from streaming and making videos too. So I think you. You know, whenever Chuffsters is, for example, something we've had on the podcast before is on the right-hand side tab, you're on that tab as well.
Yeah, but people are clicking on him.
Yeah, but like you're all operating in the same space, which is fantastic. So in terms of the most profitable driver, I'm guessing YouTube over Twitch, they're massively.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised actually. I mean, on my main channel on YouTube, it depends. If I stream 100 hours a month on Twitch, which I am roughly, sometimes Twitch can make a little bit more. Because at the moment on my main channel, I'm just going quality over quantity. I'd rather upload one video every 2 weeks and be confident it'll get over 100k views. It's evergreen content, right? I can upload, can I go 20-0 with a Man United team, right? Something simple. That could do quite well now. But then as soon as it hits its peak views of like 80, 90,000, that's it really. It'll get drips and drabs. However, if I upload the video, for example, last year, I don't know, 24-hour RTG trying to get from Division 10 to 20-0 in Weekend League, which I'd done. It's gone like nearly 700,000 views. That was from last year because she gets put out to loads of people. So I'm just trying to go for evergreen content, where in 2 years' time, something I've done 2 years ago is still
It's like
giving me
it's
money.
an investment, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you look at, we mentioned Chuffsters and other creators, like who do you get motivation, sort of influence from? Is there people that you watch and you think that's what I want to do, or are you very much what my style is my style and this is what we're going to do?
I'm in the middle of it at the moment. I feel like my style's my style, but I'm trying to make it better and change it to come across on camera better. So, for example, Chuffsters, right? I think he's a prime example. He has so many channels, and his videos do well for a reason, right? Because of the way he is and the way he links everything together. You got Crunch as well, who's obviously dabbled into IRL football and stuff. So, FIFA YouTube has changed massively over the past 2-3 years. I think I'm trying to do my best to do as much research as I can, because I'm not the best and I don't think I'll ever be the best, right? But I just want to be happy with the content I produce. So I'm having to go out my way to watch videos like Chuffsters and stuff just to see, okay, why is this video done well? What's he doing that I'm not doing? And just not copy, just like, okay, he's doing this, so he's doing this regularly. Yeah, inspiration and just taking note.
Would you say half the time as well for Twitch? Twitch is more of a it's a place just to be seen as well. You know, from, as you said the word staying relevant, which I think is right. Like, if you don't post, if you're wanting to make an impact in the scene, if you don't post every day, or you're not consistent on any platform, you know, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Twitch, tomorrow or next week they'll find someone else to go and watch, won't they? Yeah. It's about showing up all the time and being consistent. The
hardest thing since I've competed is staying relevant. Is the hardest thing. But also with that as well, I have massive FOMO. Anything 6 p.m. content on the game. Like when I went away a few weeks ago on the weekend, I'm just thinking someone else is streaming. They're taking the viewers that probably would have came to watch me and stuff like that. So I'll always have that, I think, massive FOMO. But staying relevant and staying consistent is sometimes when you don't want to go live, but you just kind of have to. You don't have to, but because if you let one day go by, then it's going to be, maybe one more, and before you know it, your views drops, and it's so hard to grab them back and get them for yourself.
Do you enjoy streaming?
Yeah, for the most part. I think I work off chat a lot. Like on streaming, what you get majority of me. I'm just very like, I'll reply to everyone in the chat. I just want to have fun, and that's where it comes with the game. If there's good content, I'm having a great time. Sometimes it is a bit stale because there's just not really much to work with in the game. I find it very hard sometimes. And again, people are there to watch me play FIFA because I'm decent at the game. If I go on Call of Duty, which I'm loving right now, like playing rank play and stuff, competitive fun, I see my viewers drop 60%, which is not the end of the world, but I want to be there playing FIFA. So to answer your question, yeah, I'd say 95% of the time I really enjoy streaming. It just depends on how content is and stuff like that to make it better or not.
When you're not streaming, making content or grinding, practicing, who is Spencer Ealing outside of FC? Who is he outside of YouTube? What sort of stuff do you get up to? Do you have any hobbies that maybe people have never seen before, or like what's your out of office
hours?
Like? Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, I'm not trying to figure life out. I'm just trying to figure out what my week looks like. I'm just trying to think, how much time do I put into research? How much time do I spend into recording? Because I feel like I wake up at 8 o'clock. I'll probably go to the gym 3 times a week. And then Monday, Wednesday, I play football for an hour on the nights. But then I just feel like from the time I wake up at 8 to the time when, because I don't really count streaming as work, because it's just I'm clicking live, I'm just playing a game, right? So from 8 o'clock in the morning to about 5 p.m, I need to figure out that. And I'm struggling right now in the sense that, okay, I know I need to record. Just clicking record on YouTube, maybe 2.5 hours, redoing lines, like getting frustrated because it's not trying to think of stuff. It's about 2.5, 3 hours just recording. That's 3 hours gone. But for that video, I've got to plan and do a bit of research, maybe write stuff out. And so, yeah, to answer your question, I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm not content with my day-to-day, week-to-week. But I think me going to the gym and me going to football kind of gives me something to base. I love football. I really do. And I think going to the gym as well the past 6 months has been a massive help.
Since you've not been able to compete,
yeah,
do you feel like you said sort of structure, do you feel like your mental health has taken a bit of a dive as well? Because you don't necessarily have I've got a tournament on the 17th of March that I need to prepare for, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that sort of drive has gone? Has that impacted you at all?
Maybe for the first month, because I'm like, this is new. I don't have anything for the next 9-10 months. It's weird, but I realised that again speaking with my YouTube manager. I was like, I can use this time to now kickstart content a bit more. And I'm still, again, as I said, I'm figuring it out. I'm still in this competitive mode. Even playing weekend league, I'm still like, I need to go 20-0. I don't, because for what? The
It'd
rewards.
probably be better content if you went like 17-3 and got a few losses.
I don't look at that though. Honestly, it's like if I don't go 20-0, I feel like, why are people watching me then? So I'm just trying to switch my brain to be first content. But then I'm worried if that happens, come FC 25, I can't then switch back. It's like I'm all or nothing on. I can't. It's so hard to commit 100%. I think it's impossible. I don't think you can do content and professional FIFA 100% on both. I think it's impossible. So I'm trying to.
I mean, your closest example of that is Tex, really.
Yeah.
Of someone that.
Again, he's brought in Wes to help him, who
But
takes
still,
a lot of that load off him.
But he's still clicking record and he's
Yeah,
there, you know.
but like even that though, it's still like I can guarantee you now, if Tex didn't upload for a year, you'd see him like. I'm not saying he's bad now because he's still doing really well, but you'd see him winning tournaments.
10%.
So even subconsciously, maybe you'll say, "Nah, it's not affecting him." I can guarantee you it is, because it happened with me. As soon as like you're uploading, and it might not even be the most tenuous upload. Maybe it's just like stream highlights. Just mentally like uploading and staying consistent on YouTube or anything in social media in general. Like, it just takes a little bit of away from you. I don't know what it is. It just does. It just takes your mind off. Just think, as you just said earlier on in the podcast, how many hours like does PH in play? Like 9 hours. I'm not saying Tex doesn't, but like the older you get and the more success you have in the scene, you have different responsibilities.
When you look at sort of other pro players who are doing content now as well, probably look at like Stokes.
Yeah.
Stokes, if you're watching, we want to get you on soon, hopefully. Do you look at sort of him as well as like an influence and be like, look, if he's getting on every day at 10 a.m. streaming for 5 hours, I can get on every night and stream 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. every night. Like, do you look at other people in your sort of space where maybe you've not made the event or the FC Pro Open and the season, maybe even, I mean, you and Stokes are very similar, where E-Prem also went to miss, and you're in a similar boat. You're like, look, I'm gonna keep up with you almost. Like I'm not letting you get ahead of me on the racetrack. Like, you're my motivation. I see you do it. I'm gonna do it as well.
100%, especially for Twitch. I think I've changed my schedule of when I stream purposefully over the past few years because, for example, like Stokes has the morning slot and Bateson has the morning slot. There's just no point competing with that. You're just going to get less views. And Stokes always, I can't remember the last time Stokes missed a morning stream. And every time I'm on my computer just doing some admin stuff, whatever, I'll have him on in the background. And it's just, he's always on for 3-4 hours. And I feel like he just kind of keeps me, I'm trying to think of the word, he just keeps me honest.
Keeps you honest, yeah.
Yeah, he keeps me honest. And just pressing live at 8 p.m. I normally go live at 8 p.m. now because I feel like there's less competition. That's just a smart thing to do. It's two things. It's less competition because, again, Stokes, and there's obviously other streamers out there, but Bateson and Stokes and some other people have the morning slot. And I just feel like the 8 p.m. suits me because I prefer nighttime. It's more chill. I've done all my stuff.
Ozio's got off by that time as well.
Ozio's off. See, he knows his stuff.
You got a few share plays left. Come to Gorilla.
It's smart though, you know. It's like I'm not going to compete with 6 p.m. That's just stupid because everyone's doing share plays. I don't do that. So morning slots, share plays. Okay, 8 p.m. Let's go and chill. One's watching Stokes. They're not going to potentially go and watch me. So that's one. How many ones are there? You know.
My last point is Anders Verjang. What's your thoughts on Anders Verjang?
Oh, it's perfect. I mean, he gets all this hate, which he can't control, but we need Anders for the pro scene. It's as simple as that because everyone, I mean, listen, I'm not the most outspoken personality when it comes to games. I just go on with my games, right? I try and win, but you need people like Anders, you know, as much, like, the stuff that gets said about him in, like, the chat and stuff, I mean, if Anders is listening, like, you just got to ignore it. People are just jealous and stuff like that, but unbelievable at the game. Perfect personality, the celebration. You need that.
Unfortunately, no one sees Anders out of game though as well.
Yeah,
because he is so different and so
nice.
Nice.
I don't know because I haven't.
And also, like, he comes out. I don't know if you ever see this on broadcast. He'll come out of a game where yes, he's been shushing and celebrating. He'll go straight into an interview and it'll be perfect, like media wise. He's perfect.
Funny story about Anders. I must have told him about 6 months ago that I'm a Barnsley fan. He will come up to me. I saw him at the FC Pro finals. He's practicing backstage, probably about 4 hours before we go live. He turns around to me and goes, "You got Bolton this weekend, big game. Come on, the Wanderers." And we're like, "Yeah, we have got Bolton. It is a big game." Like, he's just so attentive. Like, I've sat with him a few times where in Riyadh over the summer, he were there for all 3 tournaments, and I was sat sort of in the seating around the stage, and he came and sat next to me, and we sat watching the big screen, watching the games. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Club World Cup. It might have been a nation. It might have been the World Cup. I can't remember. And his level of attentiveness and understanding of the game, he was breaking down every single game, like the tiny, minuscule details, like, should have stepped over there, should have done that there, and like, just hearing it from him live.
Yeah.
Like, if he wasn't a player, he would be the best coach ever. But I also don't know if he would be, because he'd just expect you to do it. He'd be like, you should just.
I feel like he's very hard on himself. Which is
absolutely.
Yeah.
He expects perfection.
Yeah. I'm not comparing him to me, but he reminds, like, when I watch him and just the way he is, like, not personality wise, like just gameplay wise, he reminds me of like FIFA 16. Like, he just knows. If you watch him, you're thinking he doesn't do anything crazy. That's a compliment, though. He makes the game look so simple.
He's relentless as well. Just attack.
Exactly. That's why I feel like, for me, like, it's just, yeah, he's so fun to watch.
Do you think he mechanically is the best player we've ever seen?
Depends what you mean by mechanically, because I mean, I'd say
on the sticks, on the
FIFA 19 Tech's moving keeper.
Not necessarily the best
stuff.
player, but like the best, just the core fundamentals of the game, and like almost breaking the game to the 10th degree. Like,
what, this year or in general?
Just in general.
Nah, he's very good. I'd still say Tech.
Tech's 19.
Tech's 19. Just
Did
moving.
you see that game he had against Abimaka with the goalkeeper movement?
He's in the goal. The keeper's in the goal.
He still put him there though.
No, I know, it's crazy. Like, Anders is top tier, but like mechanically, like 19 Tech's, like, for reference, like, he's number 1.
Just while we can, because there'll be some people that will hate this. Goalkeeper movement, like it, don't like it.
It does add a skill gap, but if I had a choice, if finishing was better and you had more control of, like, maybe where the ball went and remove goalie movement, I don't like it, because as a core function, it makes sense, but when you combine it with like AI defending and finishing, it doesn't make sense. Does that make sense? So yes, if other things are sorted, but that's not going to happen.
Winding down, I want to ask you about the future, because it seems quite uncertain at the moment. Obviously, content is always going to be there, and that's something that I think over the course of the last 70 minutes you've really spoke highly of. Competing wise, you don't know what's around the corner. What are you looking forward to over the sort of the next 3, 4, 5 years? Is there certain goals that you want to hit? Is there life milestones that you want to tick off? You'll be turning 30 in a few years' time.
3 years.
In 3 years' time. So like, what you got going on in the next 4 or 5 years? Is there anything you want to achieve?
Anything I want to achieve? I want to achieve sustainability. I think that's been my thing since day one, and since I picked up the pad and into the tournament, because I felt like when I started winning that, I think my first ever tournament won $2,000, which again was ridiculous money then. But if you gave the winner of a tournament now $2,000,
I'll be on Twitter moaning.
Correct. So I think, honestly, after my first year, my goal's always been like, I used to have calls with Bates and Nep and the Panthers, and if it wasn't for them two, I probably wouldn't have started YouTube. So I think since I started doing YouTube back in FIFA 16, my goal's always been like, I want to compete and win and be the best, but also at the same time, I need to build this content, whatever that is. So I think over the next 5 years, I just want to still compete. My aim is to win. I want to win EPREM. Like, that's my aim now. Like, just a realistic goal. I'm not stupid thinking, okay, I'm going to qualify for FC Pro, I'm going to beat all the top players, win it. I'm not saying I couldn't. I'm just saying I've just got to be realistic. I think EPREM is probably that for me, given the format that is in front of us. So trying to achieve sustainability and what's next, in terms of maybe contracts playing, maybe going solely on my own content. I don't know. Just trying to figure out how I can carry on doing this for as long as possible. Since
2016, 2015 maybe, have you ever been solo? You ever been without an org?
Yeah, I can't remember. Is it when was Singapore? Remember, was that 19?
That would have been March 2019.
Yeah, so 19, I didn't have a team. I remember I had my own. I don't know if in Singapore I had my own hoodie, like a gorilla hoodie. It was black.
I do
and
remember
gold.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, you know what, I'm going solo. Let me have my own.
And then
hoodie.
Neo came in just after that.
Neo, yes. So I was with Neo as well. I think Dull and Mike was my partner there as well with Lenny. But yeah, I've been solo for probably about 8 months, which is crazy because back then, like, FIFA was very, very kind of what's the word, like, in your face. It was a big thing. So yeah, FIFA 19, I was a free agent. But other than that, I've always been with a team. So I mean, I'm not worried, but I'm curious to see what happens after I'm not on a contract anymore, which is it's going to happen to everyone. I'm just trying to. I won't know until it happens.
Prepare the best you can.
Yeah, trying to prepare as best as I can.
You said about hoodie. You just recently released a jersey.
Yes.
They might be sold out by the time that we publish this. How's that going? Have you sold as many as you want or not?
Well, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. My target was 50. I'm currently on 24, 25 right now, but I know it's a cliche. I'm not in it for the money. Genuinely.
I don't think you are in any merchandise really for the money,
No,
unless you are selling
ridiculous
loads.
amounts. Yeah, I'm actually on a loss for the jersey because I'm covering the shipping as well. And as you can think, from Europe to like America, Dubai, it's just so yeah. I've always since Unilad days, I've always wanted my own merch. And I got the jersey made. You know, Tixon, who works for you, he designed it.
Shout out Davido.
Thought I gave him
That's
in
2
there.
shout-outs this season.
He's done all right, hasn't he?
No, but the I like it, and the feedback that I got from Stream, like they all liked it. I was always a bit apprehensive as to you create something, you want to see what people think, and you just hope it's good feedback. So yeah, that's going all right. Just getting kind of my foot in the door, dealing with all the shipping and stuff like that, and then eventually I'll do my own merch. Again, I'm not in it for the money. Just imagine me walking like in a year's time and someone's wearing one of my shirts or something like.
I think you've always had. You know, you said about being on your own for a period of time before. You've always had a strong brand, though. Do you know what I mean? The Gorilla brand has always been like a really strong brand.
It's a good name, innit? You picked well.
It's good for the social side of things, but I feel like if I was so when I do merch, not jerseys, actual merch, I'm trying to get away from Gorilla as much as I can. I don't want like my massive logo on the front. You know what I mean? So I want actual designs. But I think for what I do, like YouTube now, I think it's perfect, and I can play with it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean everyone knows Huge Gorilla.
I remember at the start of the podcast, you said a huge gorilla. I've not actually called myself a huge gorilla for ages. It's just it's gone from a huge gorilla. Yeah,
Spendy,
yeah. Spendiola.
In terms of everything you've learnt from being in this industry, is there ever an angle that you'd maybe be interested to go into, like, I don't know, a player agency in the future, or start up some sort of other side hustle?
Well, I'm doing coaching right now. Whether I do that long term, I don't know. I enjoy the E-Prem coaching, but I need to be in a position where I'm not playing anymore, and my sole focus is content, but then also coaching with one specific player. I think I'd enjoy that, but I think that's kind of like the easy go-to. Outside of that, some type of agency where I deal with players and brands, I think, down the line. Not in the near future, but that's something that I've always been interested in because I've been on the receiving end of that. There's
one thing that we haven't spoken about, Rich, and I think we need to. You won the World Cup and you went to the FIFA Best Awards.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm surprised I've not spoken about this yet. You met Messi.
Yeah. Ronaldo. Neymar. R9.
What are they like?
Was that the best
so
opportunity you've ever had from being in this industry?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, I think in the moment, because I was 20, I was scared. I was going there on my own with someone from FIFA. And if it wasn't for, I can't remember what the guy's name was, but he dealt with everything, like getting the players in to sign my shirt and ask for a photo, because I'm not going to go up to Cristiano Ronaldo saying, can I have a photo?
Can you just sign this for me, please?
But yeah, I remember, because Cristiano Ronaldo was there with like his bodyguards, right? And he goes to the toilet and like he got 2 bodyguards in front of the door. It was surreal.
Chris.
But he'd walk straight past you.
I think I got lucky because normally when people go to like the best awards, there's always one of the big players not there because they know they haven't won. But Messi was there, Ronaldo was there, R9. Neymar, just Bonucci, like ridiculous. And to have those photos.
How's Bonucci got into that?
You got a team here 1 year.
Who was the nicest player that you met?
Nicest player that I've met? I don't know.
Bonucci.
Bonucci.
We saw another year. Was it Jurgen Klopp?
Yeah, I didn't actually meet any
managers.
managers.
Maybe. I think it might have been with Vermet.
Mo Alba as well.
Sorry, yeah, Mo Alba saying obviously his kids knows
who
Mo Alba is.
From what I met, pretty rude Hullet, because obviously I remember that moment when I scored the goal and
he
handed me the trophy.
You got shares in Team Hull, have you?
I wish. They're doing really well, honestly. They always find the next player, don't they?
I've got 3 very quick questions before we go.
Sure.
Premier League, other than Aston Villa, who's winning it?
I think.
Can't say Villa because obviously you'll be coaching them. So
Yeah, I mean obviously bar Villa because I'm not even saying it because I'm coaching them. I think there's obviously other favourites than Villa, but I think we have a good chance if we play good on our day. Other than that, I think I'll be surprised if Man City don't go all the way.
Champions League, we don't know who's going to have made it yet, but who do you fancy for Champions League?
I'm between 3: PHN, Levy, or Anders. But I would probably say, because we talked about Anders, I'll probably say Anders.
And World Championship, big one, end of the year. We don't know how much money is going to be on the line. Probably a lot. Don't know the location yet, as of recording on the
Back to Romania.
27th of February. Who's winning it? World Championship.
World
Will Tex
Championship.
get finally over the line and win the big one?
The thing with the World Cup is, it doesn't always play out how you think it's going to play out. So I'm going to go for, I don't know, I think PHN has been really good the past 18 months. So
Double up. That'd be some year.
yeah, I saw him like in the FC Pro Open, and he just knows that next, if something's not working, it's fine because you won't know it's not working because whatever you'll do next works. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'd say PHN, but there's so many big names that could win. But because he's already been there at the top level, being these top players, and if he carries on, he'll have that confidence going into it. So I'll say PHN.
Last question before we wrap up. I'm gonna try and remember this trend moving forward. One guest that you think we should get on the Full 90 podcast.
One guess I think you should get on.
You can make it realistic or completely unrealistic.
I'd say Stokes. I think Stokes would be, Tom Stokes would be a good one. Yeah.
You heard that here, Stokes. Gorilla's called you
You
out.
can't say no now.
He's
I've
already
called you
asked,
out. It's time to come on, mate.
It's got to happen. Well, Gorilla, thank you so much for your time, mate.
Thank you for having me.
It's been great to hear about your story, about how you got into competitive FIFA at the time and how you're looking forward, sort of moving forward into FC24. And overall, Rich, a really solid episode, one that we know a lot about this man.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember the predictions as well, because we might be coming
I'll
back
come
to
back
them.
to this.
March, May, and in the summer as well to see who, if Gorilla predicted correctly.
Amazing stuff. Well, that's been the Full 90 podcast with Gorilla in the hot seat, former world champion. And all we have to say is thank you so much for watching. If you are enjoying this online via an audio platform, do leave us a 5-star review. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next episode of the Full 90 podcast.